In a recent video and blog post, we took a deep dive into trailer towing and weight limits. We shared the importance of understanding and following all of the weight ratings for both your RV and the tow vehicle you pull it with.
We explained how to weigh a towable RV and introduced the new weight and towing calculator we designed that you can use for free to see if your rig is within spec.
But our post also generated some questions. Today we're going to address the most common one. If you already own a pickup truck or other vehicle that you'd like to tow an RV with, how heavy a trailer can it handle?
Stay tuned and we'll show you how to use 4 numbers from your truck or one you're considering buying to make sure you know the heaviest trailer you can tow. Payload capacity, towing capacity, gross combined weight rating, and tongue weight limit will give us the answers we need.
Since our towing video and post recently went live at the RVgeeks.com, the response has been amazing, with over 100,000 views in just 2 months. It also helped us pass the 200,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. Thanks so much to all of you for that. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, now might be a great time to do that.
Since the tool we created is designed to calculate the weights of a tow vehicle and trailer together, you obviously can't use it if you're still shopping for an RV. One of the most common questions we got was, I already own a pickup truck and want to buy a travel trailer to pull behind it. How do I know how large and heavy a trailer I can consider?
This is a great question, since you obviously can't weigh a fully loaded trailer that you don't even own. So we're going to provide you with a good starting point to help you narrow down your options as you go RV shopping.
Basically, you need to use your truck's capacities, listed on the door sill, to figure out the heaviest trailer it can handle. Once you know that, you can shop for trailers that don't exceed that weight.
Keep in mind that we're using the word truck, since so many people tow with them. But the same guidelines apply for any tow vehicle, whether it's a pickup truck, a sport utility, or even a regular passenger car. So when we say truck, we're talking about any vehicle that you use to tow an RV.
Since a truck's payload is the most common limit that RVers are likely to exceed, start by getting that number. You can see that our truck has a payload capacity of 1,602 pounds, which is the maximum that everything we put into the truck is allowed to weigh: driver, passengers, and gear. But don't forget that the downward force of the trailer's tongue on the hitch ball has to be included as part of its payload too.
The payload capacity is typically posted on the placard in the driver's door jamb. But even if it's not, it's easy to calculate. By definition, the gross weight of a vehicle is its empty or curb weight plus its payload. So subtracting the curb weight from the GVWR equals its payload capacity.
Now that you have your payload capacity in hand, here's what to do with that information. Again, keep in mind that 3 factors get figured into payload: the weight of people on board, the weight of any gear you carry both inside the truck and in the bed, and the weight of the trailer's tongue on the hitch ball.
Start by adding your weight to the weight of any passengers who typically go camping with you, including pets. Together, the 2 of us weigh 350 pounds. So right off the bat, we've used up 350 of our 1,602 pound payload capacity, leaving us with 1,252 pounds remaining.
If you typically carry specific gear in the bed of your truck, like a generator and a can of gasoline for it, a pair of heavy e-bikes, or a fire pit and a spare propane tank, add up the weight of all that gear, since that also eats into your truck's payload capacity.
In our case, we travel with minimal extra gear, having prioritized our truck's available payload and our trailer's cargo capacity to install a large solar and battery system for boondocking purposes.
We also installed a backflip tonneau cover and carry a Dometic portable refrigerator freezer, a Jackery power station, a Viair compressor, and some other miscellaneous gear in the bed of our truck. When we weighed all that gear, it added up to 152 pounds. Subtracting that from our remaining 1,252 pounds of available payload capacity left us with 1,100 pounds.
The reason that number is so important is because that remaining capacity is the maximum amount of tongue weight that you can place onto the hitch ball. This is where tongue weight percentage comes into play.
If you saw our towing video, we stressed the importance of balancing your rig correctly by making sure that between 10 and 15% of the trailer's total weight goes on the tongue, leaving 85 to 90% of its weight on its axle or axles.
Now that we know we have 1,100 pounds of payload left, all we need is to use a little math to figure out what the trailer weighs if 15% of it equals 1,100 pounds. That's easy to calculate by dividing 1,100 by 0.15, which equals 7,333. So in our case, shopping for a trailer with a GVWR of 7,333 pounds or less means our truck should have no problem safely towing it.
Let's summarize how to figure this out using another example. Let's say you own a truck with a payload capacity of 2,000 pounds. You weigh 175 and your passenger weighs 150. In the bed of the truck, you carry 2 e-bikes that each weigh 75 pounds, a 50-pound generator, and a 50-pound can of gas. That's a total of 575 pounds of people and gear, leaving you with only 1,425 pounds of additional payload capacity.
Since 1,425 pounds is the most the tongue of any trailer you're pulling can weigh, and 15% of the trailer's weight is the most you can put onto the hitch, simply divide that 1,425 by 0.15, which equals 9,500 pounds.
Now that you've figured out that your truck's payload capacity can handle a 9,500 pound trailer, there are 3 other limits to keep in mind before you actually start shopping for RVs: towing capacity, GCWR, and the truck's maximum allowed tongue weight.
Towing capacity is easy. Not only is it readily available, but it's also not the most common weight limit that people exceed. Since the payload capacity on our example truck can handle a 9,500 pound trailer, you're also in the clear if its towing capacity is 9,500 pounds or more.
When it comes to gross combined weight rating, simply subtract the truck's GVWR from its GCWR. Any trailer you're considering can't weigh more than that. Let's say our example truck has a GCWR of 20,000 pounds and its GVWR is 8,000 pounds. That leaves 12,000 pounds available for a trailer. But since our payload already limited us to 9,500 pounds, we obviously can't tow 12,000.
Lastly, your truck's hitch receiver has a maximum tongue weight rating. In our example, we figured out that you can accommodate 1,425 pounds of tongue weight without exceeding your truck's payload capacity. So long as your hitch receiver is rated to carry at least 1,425 pounds of tongue weight, you're still good to go with a 9,500 pound trailer.
But what if the receiver is only rated to carry 1,350 pounds maximum tongue weight? In that case, you'd need to recalculate by dividing 1,350 by 0.15, which equals 9,000 pounds, which would then become your limiting factor.
Since a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, the lowest of these numbers is the one to use when you're going RV shopping. The number on the trailer that we're most interested in is the gross vehicle weight rating, or GVWR. Since that's posted on the outside of every towable, usually at the front corner on the driver's side, it's easy to find on any RV you're considering.
And there you have it, your number to use as you start shopping for an RV. In our example, if you limit your search to trailers with a GVWR of 9,500 pounds or less, you've got the right idea.
If you owned the truck we used in our example and had your heart set on a camper with a GVWR of 13,000 pounds, you'd absolutely be barking up the wrong tree. That truck simply won't be able to safely tow it.
Keep in mind that it's not possible to precisely calculate the exact weight and balance of any rig until it's fully loaded for travel. The goal is to get an idea of the heaviest trailer you should be shopping for based on the truck you already own or are considering buying.
There are some factors you simply can't figure out in advance. For example, you still need to keep your axle weights within their rated limits. But there's no way to accurately measure those without the truck and trailer fully loaded, connected, and ready for travel.
The good news is that if you use your truck's payload capacity as the primary gauge to limit the heaviest trailer you're shopping for, most other weights should fall into place too. Just be sure to properly weigh the entire loaded rig before hitting the road. See our previous post and video for those complete details.
Keep in mind that we use the GVWR of any trailer we're considering because we want to know the most that it might weigh, and 15% of that weight since that's the most its tongue is allowed to weigh. That's because it's safer to have too much truck capability than too little.
But again, this is the starting point for finding a camper that your truck can safely tow, and not an absolute limit. There are definitely ways to load your rig that will allow you to tow a somewhat heavier trailer.
By using the maximum that both the trailer and the tongue might weigh, you'll be leaving yourself some room for error and for any needed adjustments like moving or removing some gear from your rig. That's how we were able to buy the 8,250-pound GVWR Outdoors RV 19 MKS that we had our eye on, despite the fact that our initial calculations said that we should limit ourselves to a 7,333-pound rig.
Here's a hint about how we did that. Remember, we mentioned that after adding the weight of ourselves and the gear we carry, we have 1,100 pounds of payload capacity remaining for tongue weight. Well, a tongue weight percentage of 12.5 is still solidly within the 10 to 15% requirement to reduce the potential for trailer sway.
If we divide that 1,100 pounds by 0.125 instead of 0.15, that equals 8,800 pounds instead of 7,333. So simply storing more of our gear toward the rear of our trailer lowered the tongue weight, which also lowers the payload and the truck.
But we recommend starting out by assuming the trailer you buy will be loaded to its GVWR and that 15% of that weight will be on the tongue. This leaves room for error and helps avoid buying a trailer that your truck can't handle. After all, a truck with more capability than you need is never a problem.
We hope this helps you get started on finding the RV of your dreams and towing it safely on lots of great camping adventures. We'll put a link to our weight and towing video up here and in the video description. Once you have your new trailer in hand, be sure to use that information and our weight and towing calculator to get your rig properly weighed and balanced. Safe travels.
And thanks for watching.